Okay.
I would think just a small tractor, like 8 or 10 feet, just so you could have access to go around and mow or make a pass or two with a push mower or something.
Abraham here with the Salmon Homestead. Today, Renee and I and a few of the kids are out at the acres. Welcome from the ducks. And we're doing two things today, not just feeding and watering our chickens and ducks, but also we are going to meet today with Quint and Dan. They've both been out here before, and we're going to be talking about the acres in the fencing portion of it. So today we're looking to finalize our fencing plan, in which we can then contact our fencer, in which they'll put in the fence that goes around the acres. So it's going to be about 14.5 acres that is fenced. And you know how many lines go on the outside? Like, we're probably looking at using 3 lines to go on the outside, and then 1 line to go on the inside. So we looked that over where the gates are going to be. So that is really cool. We're really pumped that they were able to make it out today. And of course we have our chickens and ducks running through the part that's going to be fenced, and that will give some good nutrient to the soil, so eventually we have some good grass and clover and other growing up through here as well. So this container here is inside the chicken mobile, and I'm just seeing that it's got some water loose in here, so the ones on the outside were completely frozen, and the ones that are in here, so it would show that it stays warmer in general in here than it does outside here, because you know we're in Wisconsin and last night was in the 20s again, and we're going to be going down the teens here again soon as well.
To sound, the one that's coming from your mouth. Don't mean to turn it upside down. I really wanna hear you out. I can't know how it is to be where you so calmly.
So the chickens, as you can see, must really love the feed we get. We get poultry layer feed, in which is from Pasture, Wisconsin. It is non-GMO. Has all the proper nutrients that they need already. Try to move around our containers a little bit. When the feed comes out, then they scratch a new spot on the ground. But yeah, it's really been treating us well. As you can see, complete layer egg production. Has a nice listing of what's all in the feed as well. But I guess the key you could say nowadays is it is considered organic, non-GMO, because of course other feeds can have all different things in there that make maybe the chicken or the eggs they produce not as healthy for a human. And yeah, so we're going with that. And I picked it up when I go pick up our oldest from college. That's when we pick up the feed as we head through. We're pretty close to Pasture. Pick up a load of feed and bring it back, and then we have it for many months. All right, the guys from NRCS are here, and we're going to look at the pasture fencing.
I had a quick question before we get started. I'm going over this. This sacrifice area. Why did you choose this corner up here for the sacrifice area versus by like the barn area?
I think Amalia was thinking it just. Well, one, I guess I don't necessarily know how far up the hill it comes even, but Amalia was thinking that corner just seemed to be a lot drier.
Oh, higher up.
Than, I mean, I guess without really measuring and looking off, I'm sort of assuming that she has the barn like right over there-ish is my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, so she has like the barn over here. Pretty much everything was taken right from Amalia.
Okay.
The distances, type of fence, everything we just pulled right from the plan. So this first page is just kind of overall information. I'll get you to sign it once we kind of go through it. As I just stated, so these quantities are pulled from what Amalia had from her grazing plan. This is kind of maybe good information to have. Maybe you can get an idea and a cost estimate based off of these numbers. Again, they might vary from what actually gets put in. One thing to note for us is from what we contracted out, we can pay it like if it's more than 3,315 feet, say it's like 3,500 feet or whatever, and it goes over what we contracted the amount, we can pay up to, I believe, was it $1,000 over. So that's just something to note. These quantities come out higher than what we have listed here. It's all right. It's not that big a deal.
Oh, okay. So is that the sheet that we would talk with Triple B on?
Yeah, you could give them this. You just give them this whole thing. It has farther in it. We'll have like the specs.
Oh, okay.
That will be important for them to build.
And that's what he was looking for, right?
Yeah. So, and you have a copy of the grazing plan too, because the maps I put in here didn't really. I mean, it came out, but
grazing plan is like the order.
The one that Amalia had.
Directed how you graze them out. Yes.
Yeah. So Amalia had it and had like a bunch of maps in it. That might be more helpful from the maps that I have in here, because I just pulled it right from the grazing plan.
Oh, okay.
So that might be a little bit more beneficial, but yeah. Whenever you talk to the contract, you can just give them this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So this first page will be information. This will be some of the quantities that we have estimated. They give you a cost estimate based on this, probably. I'm guessing is how they would base off the cost estimates.
Okay.
That's typically what they use, I believe. This page here is just the map, as I was kind of stating. You went with 3 wire on the perimeter and then 1 wire on the interior. Is that consistent on what you guys wanted? Correct? I mean, once they get used to the electric fence, they're not going to go through it. I mean, I guess my only concern is when you first bring cows in and you put them into this area. I mean, they might go through it initially, but they just got to become used to the electric fence. Once they get used to it, it's really not going to be an issue. And I mean, everybody uses 3 wire typically to hold in cows for the exterior fence, so.
Yeah, and I was thinking whenever, I mean, we'd already had the fence up, we would build that area where they would be able to stay in and then let them out.
And that's going to be 3 wire as well, that sacrifice area. You can put a 3 wire fence in here as well.
Okay.
You might want to just talk to the contractor and see what they recommend on a perimeter for the highway like this too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only with being calves and small animals.
Well, how high up, if it's 3 wire, where is like the bottom, how high is the bottom wire then?
It has to be a certain feet off the ground, but you can work with the contractor to set that where you want it.
Oh, okay. I mean, because I would assume at certain points of the year you'd want to be cutting underneath it, no matter even what height it is. I mean, this stuff was like 5 feet.
Yeah,
so, I mean, if your wire would not be a 6, I mean,
no.
Even if it was like 3 feet, grass would eventually get to
Well,
it.
it'll probably be a foot and then what, 2 feet, 3 feet.
How high is the top layer?
I don't know. It's going to be about 4.5 to 5 feet maybe on the top.
Yeah, fence height, ground to wire, 42 inches. The top wire, and then you can have some poles sticking out. That's what.
Well, that's only 4 feet hardly then. Yeah.
Yeah, so you up in 42 inches top wires. Talking about like up in.
Well, then if that's the case, then if the 3rd wire's here, third,
yeah,
3 wire actually.
Yeah.
That's what most people go with, is with 3 wire, but I can see definitely the concern with being right on.
Because you're going to go right out to 47 on the ditch side. I mean, right out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe talk with the contractor, see what they've done in the past. That would be a good idea.
Okay.
On roads like that. I know most people would just go 3-wire, but
would there be a thing of doing, I don't know, maybe a weird question, but 4-wire,
I was just gonna
and
say,
then everything
and
else
then the
is
rest
3-wire?
yeah, maybe on the highway side.
I guess I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if I've never seen them built like that.
Well, from my experience, I run some beef myself,
Yeah.
and the baby, I cow calf, and the calves, they'll ignore electric fences.
So would a
They-
calf go through a 4-wire fence?
Mine always went through 4 wires.
Oh.
They just crawl right through it. They don't even get shocked.
Huh.
They just basically, until they get old enough where they can sense it or feel it, then they'll get used to it. But it takes some learning and
Once they get acclimated, then yeah.
So then does that really matter if it's
Well-
4-wire? I mean, I'm assuming that the calf would get out just because he wants to hide, but he probably,
yeah.
it wouldn't go up on the road though.
Probably not so much. I'm on a state highway myself, and mine would just get out and they'd lay in the road ditch right in the cul-de-sac.
Really?
And luckily, nothing ever got hit on the highway.
Okay.
You had 4-wire?
Yeah, yeah. They just go right. I mean, they're only about that far apart, the wires, and they just slither right through there. And you come to chase them, and they just go right back in. And
Was that like a month? For like a month, or? is it-
well, actually, even longer than that sometimes. But
Huh.
like you say, they're wanting to hide, and you drive around with a ATV or something trying to look for them. They put their heads right flat on the ground, and they're just trying to hide from everybody, just like a wild animal,
Okay.
But I would say their fencing guys have had enough experience too with the highways and different things that they should be able to tell you some of that.
Okay. Then they would be good people to talk to.
Okay.
Just some things to think about and talk about. You can't overbuild a fence. That's what I always heard. And there's always, in my experience, there's always things you wish you would have done before whenever you're repairing the fence too. So.
Okay.
But
Okay.
just some things to think about. Whenever you talk with the fence contractor. So. And you can talk to Clint. Maybe he has some recommendations for you, which one he prefers to. Again, talk with people who.
So Clint, do you have like a few acres of animals?
I
or-
run 20 acres myself.
And you have, then you would have like the exterior fence, interior fence, and you do some of that?
Actually, I'm not on a true rotational grazing, but my dad had the farm for dairy cattle, so it was set up for grazing the dairy cattle on like larger, like 5-acre grids.
Uh-huh.
And we wouldn't do an exact. When the grass got down so short, we just move them on to the next piece,
Okay.
And then, but the whole farm is surrounded with this exterior fence, 4-wire deal, and then the interior was just a poly wire that would run with the, like you're gonna do on the inside of each paddock.
Yeah,
you're gonna
Right,
have
there'll be
paddock.
three
Three main-
three, 4 sections. Is that 3 sections?
Yeah, 3.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
interior
3
fences.
interior
And you just have a
fences.
poly wire that you keep pushing them down into the next piece with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we did, just with little push posts.
Oh, okay.
That you'll have a handful of, and then you just lay out your next piece that next day or two and keep pushing them down there. then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. I don't know if I got. I think there's pictures in here of it.
And that's where you're saying the calves, they might be in an old paddock or in a new paddock. They'll just be all over the place. There's 4 or 5 calves or whatever you have. They'll just wander around because they'll just go right under this one wire.
Sure. Yep.
You won't keep them in there.
Yeah. So.
But they're not like grazing and eating a lot of grass anyway, so they're just
Yeah.
out
Yeah. Whenever you break this up, you have like this poly wire, this temporary fence. Yeah, the calves can be like pasture to pasture. They'll be moving around. Maybe you have younger ones, but
I was just thinking as you're explaining them, it sounds just like our kids.
Oh yeah.
Little kids are wild. They're just all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of lay out, figure out whatever many wires. Again, if you have to go 4 here, maybe talk with the contractor what works best.
Okay.
Maybe what they recommend.
Okay.
This is gonna be 1 wire. This permanent 3 strands going around with these openings. I'm guessing these are gonna be like those poly wire gates that they put up.
Yeah, and I'll say this: that the closest thing I can know from that is watching on YouTube. So
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, but when we like now the cattle would probably just be out in the cornfields where the corn was gone. They're eating that down. It was just an open thing, so we didn't do too much of moving, and I don't think we had any poly wire. It was straight not the regular thin wire. It has the pokies on the
Barbed
wire. Yeah, we ran all barbed wire.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen it a smidge maybe, but really, if you pointed something like, oh yeah, that's it. I mean, I haven't dealt with that otherwise. So
Okay. Yeah, it's like a rope. Almost looks like a rope wire. It's all electrified, and you like hook it in.
okay.
I'm guessing that's what she had. I think that's what she had in her plans at these openings. So,
I think we're looking at just that it would remain whole in the animals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had them out years ago. I remember on the farm. The weather would come through and they'd be 2 farms over.
Yeah.
So that we'd want to. I guess if it was like, you know what, they're gonna hold them in more at 4, or if they're like saying, you know what, those little ones still got out at 4, we'll just go with 3, and then it's a little cheaper. That sounds good. And yeah, just using the proper wires so that I don't know, in 5 years we're not having to fix something right away.
Well, it's a high
or whatever.
tensile, so they have a spring-loaded ratchet system on them, so they ratchet it tight.
Okay.
And then when you actually push on the wire, it's spring-loaded, so you can't really break the wire.
Oh, so the wire can give even?
Yeah, it's
and
spring-loaded.
it won't- Okay.
So on each end, or on one end, you'll have a spring. They're like I don't know, inch and a quarter around, like a foot long, spring tensioner thing on there.
Okay.
And they'll ratchet that tight on there, and you can, if it starts to loosen up, you can just ratchet it tighter, so you keep your tension
Okay.
on there tight. So if
Okay.
they do push up against it, and there's not electric on it for some reason, they can't just
Break it right
go
away.
right through it. Then
Okay.
it's pretty high-powered stuff.
Okay.
My hands are getting cold.
It's
I
cold.
should have brought gloves, eh? And then the rest of this plan is kind of just specs, and this will be important for the contractor to know, because whenever they build anything, it has to be the NRCS specs. So this talks about the exterior fence, so that 3-strand on the outside. Talks about the wire, the line post, the tensioners. It has everything that Quint was alluding to. The interior fence, this is the specs for that. This is like your temporary paddock fencing, some information about that. Let's see what else we got here. These are your braces. So again, at gate openings, and then at the ends, you're gonna have to have braces. Make sure that the posts that they put in are long enough and they drive them in deep enough. Typically, whenever the contractors will come in with like their fence, and they'll drop all the materials off, it's good for us to like come in then. We'll like measure the post. We can make sure that everything's long enough, so it's all for specs. So that's good for our sake, just so we know that everything's built to spec. So and then this talks about the grounding, the lightning protection, and things along that line. And it's kind of a lot of that stuff is laid out here, and it references those pages. So again, this is good for the contractor. I have a copy for you as well.
Okay.
Any questions about the fence? I guess I know we kind of covered a lot. Work with them for the strands. Make sure that they follow the specs, and then there's some maps in here. Again,
And then they know they know how to read off how far from the road and all that stuff. That's like marked on there of like where they. I mean, once you get your first posting, I guess, then you can just run from it. They would know where to. I mean, I'm guessing they would either start in that corner.
They'll use the right-of-way marks. Yeah.
Okay, so they would know where to start and then how far to start.
Yeah, if you want them, and if you wanted them to set back farther, you can just work with them.
Okay,
like
so
they can go out there with like paint cans, just paint wherever they want, or however. Everybody does it different whenever they build it, so they'll probably want to have like a little pre-con meeting with you before they go out there and build and make sure everything. And we can also be out here on site for that like little pre-con fence meeting if you want to do that.
Okay.
So you guys should be good to go then. So.
All right, and then I think we'll end up giving him a call too.
Okay. You can just sign a date right here at the top.
You just say, here we have a paper copy. You want to meet me at the farm or meet me at the site? We'll give you the plan. You can take a look and see if we can get the ball rolling.
Boy, this is my first time right. Is it 12?
5.
5. Well, I do too much for writing dates nowadays.
And then we got one more here, and this is just I'm just gonna get this signed now too. for your operation maintenance. We can get that signed. And that's all we need.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.